Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today I am doing my June reading predictions. So these are the books that I am predicting I will want to read in June. So the first book that I have here is actually a book that I definitely will be reading because I've already started reading it, which is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And since I'm reading this right now, it does not have the dust jacket on it, but I definitely will be reading this in June. I'm about 130 pages into it right now and I'm enjoying it. It is a very slow moving book though, so like it's taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would to read, but this is one of my like books about books that I have been wanting to read. And in this we follow Daniel, who it starts out with him being about 10 years old when his father brings him to the Cemetery of Lost Books, which is this place where his father and his friends keep books that they have saved that would have otherwise been destroyed or like lost, and that nobody would have remembered, and so they kind of hang on to those books and keep them safe so that they don't just disappear. And Daniel is allowed to select one book from the Cemetery of Forgotten Books and take it home and read it and like revive it in that way by being somebody who reads this book which would have otherwise been forgotten. So he finds this book that is called The Shadow of the Wind, and he reads it and falls in love with it, and he wants to read more books by the same author, but he finds out that nobody really knows anything about this author, that his books are incredibly hard to find, and that there's actually somebody who is systematically finding and destroying all of the books by this one author. And so then that kind of sucks Daniel into this mystery of who was this author, why did people, like, he just kind of disappeared and nobody knows what happened to him, and why is somebody trying to destroy all of these books. And so I have been enjoying this one. It's very slow, so it's taking me a little bit longer to read than I anticipated, but I am liking it so far, so I'm definitely going to be reading this in June. Next, I have Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings. And this one goes back to catch up with Fitz and the Fool, who were the main characters in the first trilogy, which is the Farseer trilogy. So some time has passed and we're catching up with them again. I don't really know what the plot is of this other than that we're catching up with these characters. And so, you know, if you've watched some of my videos, you may know that I have kind of mixed opinions about Robin Hobb. Some of her books I really love, and then a lot of them I really don't like. I really enjoy her writing though, and so I really like the experience of reading her books, even if I don't always like the stories that she tells. So I keep reading them because I just enjoy the experience of it. So I am actually really looking forward to getting back into this world and these characters, and I'm a little bit surprised because I didn't think I was like that, you know, like attached to the characters of Fitz and the Fool, but I'm actually quite looking forward to getting back into like their lives. And also this just seems like the right time of year to me to read this. For some reason, like May, June seems like the time of year to read Robin Hobb. I think it's because one of the books that I have liked by her the best, one of the books by her I have liked the best, that's a sentence, which was The Royal Assassin, maybe? But I read that in June, and so now I think June is like associated in my mind with like, oh, this is the month where you read a Robin Hobb book, so we're gonna read this. Next, I have The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell, which is a like classic science fiction book, which is the last book in the books that I was going to read for my Science Fiction Through the Decades reading challenge that I was doing last year and did not complete, but I only had one book left, which is this one. And so I'm gonna finally read this book and like finish this thing that I set out to do, which was to read one science fiction book from every decade for the past like 50 years. And this one is about like first contact with aliens, and how the human race is represented in first contact with aliens. And I think it's supposed to really deal a lot with like the science and spirituality and things like that. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going to like it. I just have not gotten around to it, and I need to finally do that. Next, I have The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman, and this is a recent released YA contemporary fantasy that is described a lot of times as like a mix of The Raven Cycle and Stranger Things, and I haven't watched Stranger Things, but I love The Raven Cycle, so I'm like, that sounds good to me. And it takes place in a small town, and I know that there are like founding families who protect the town from kind of this malevolent creature that lives there. That's most of what I know about it, but I've heard some mixed things, but mostly really positive stuff about this, and mostly that people really love the characters in it, which is always, you know, the biggest selling point to me if there are characters that you can love. So I also want to get to this one. And the last one that I have here is The Queen of the Blood by Sarah Beth Durst, and this takes place in a world where everything in the natural world has its own sentience, and most of it is malevolent. So there is the Queen of the Blood who has to protect people from all of these like nature spirits that are trying to destroy them. And I've heard some pretty good things about this. I haven't heard a lot of hype about it, but the people who do read it, I think, really like it. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it promises to have a lot of like nature magic in it. Even if the nature is trying to kill everybody, you know, there's still nature magic. So I really want to get to this one also. So those are the books that I most want to get to in June. There are also lots of other books that I'm hoping to read this month, but I don't know if I'll even be able to get through these ones because some of these are quite long, especially like Robin Hobb books take forever to read. So hopefully I will get through at least a few of these. But thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!